Hey guys, Courtney here, and we are going to do our second yoga practice together. This is going to build off of that first vinyasa flow practice that we did together. So let's get started in a comfortable position. We're going to do some breathing to begin. So you can be in a comfortable seat. So that could look like this, cross-legged. That could look like sitting up on a blanket or a block or whatever you have, a pillow underneath you. And if you like to be on your back, might be a good place to start. So you can just kind of sprawl out on your mat. Legs can be long, or I like the knees bent and together, so you spin the heels out a little bit and just let the head rest. So however you like to be for some breathing here. And just initially become aware of your body, breathing in and out through the nose. Notice the quality of the breath, maybe a temperature. It's a little cooler as it goes in, and a warming sensation as you breathe out. Notice where the breath goes, the different spaces that the breath can expand into in your body. And just by bringing our awareness to the breathing, it starts to deepen on its own. It starts to change. The mind becomes a little more clear and the body is able to relax. So when we consciously breathe, there's a shift that happens internally. Our nervous system is able to relax a little bit and rest. The mind becomes more clear. We do a lot of thinking all the time. So it's very healthy for our systems to pause and bring awareness to the breath as often as you can. And let's see if we can inhale and exhale for the same amount of time. Maybe a count of 4 if that works for you. Breathing in for 4, 3, 2, 1, and breathing out for 4. Just going at that pace. If the 4 count works, you can always be 3 or 5 or 6. Balancing out your inhale and exhale. Feeling how the body is becoming more relaxed, the mind becoming more at ease, more restful. Really dedicating this time for yourself to step away from everything that's going on and just to really focus inward. Find a way to connect. It can be difficult in the world that we live in right now. Taking one more round here before we start to move. Deep breath in for 4. And breathing out for 4. Being open, being accepting as you move through this practice, different shapes we take, finding the balance of effort and ease, and never having any judgment, just moving with an open mind. Let's stretch. So if you're on a seat, on your seat, go ahead and meet everybody on your back. Let's stretch the limbs. Reach the legs forward, arms reach to the top of the mat. Rolling the wrists and ankles, preparing them for movement. Well, let's start with a little bit of core work on our back. So hands are going to come alongside the body. Let's bend the knees and lift the knees up over the hips. Take your hands to your abdominals, kind of like the thumbs touch the bottom of the ribs and the middle fingers maybe touch the hip bones if you got that. If not, no worries. And then maybe we get a sense of drawing the bottom of the ribs together and down toward the spine. So we're going to find our transverse abdominis, those lower, deeper layers of abdominal muscle. So think of like when you cough, those muscles contract. So once you think about that, you can even cough right now. Just do one little cough. Feel everything hug into the midline. Keep that engagement and then lower one leg at a time. And then bring the knee back up in line with the other knee. So we're just going to alternate here, keeping the transverse abdominis, the TVA muscles involved, engaged, and the movement is from there. So that engagement supports the movement of the legs. You can even synchronize your breath with this. Inhale to tap down and exhale to return to starting position. Now you'll feel that your lower back, your lower lumbar has its natural curve, so you're not trying to push your back down into the floor. Just maintain the natural curve and feel just everything hugging in to the midline. Everything hugging in around the spine. And continuing, we're also working our hip flexor muscles. Those muscles can get kind of weak and tight when we do a lot of sitting. So strengthening. If you want to add on, you can straighten the leg as you hover, reach through the heel, and then come back up to start. And you can try a few rounds like that. And just feeling that engagement as you breathe and move. Just a subtle movement. Now both legs can straighten. So trying this, alternating legs, both legs come up. And if you can't straighten them all the way, that's totally fine to have a little bend. We haven't done anything to open up the hamstrings yet, so just be easy on yourself. Inhale, extend. Exhale, return, both legs up. Let's go one more round. Alternating the legs. Inhale to lengthen the leg and exhale, bringing the legs vertical. And then let's hug the knees into the chest. Rock a little bit side to side. And we'll take a spinal twist. So knees pinned together. Let's let them fall over to the right. Inhale, get longer through the waist. Exhale, look over toward the left shoulder as it spreads down toward the floor. Palm facing up. I like to take my right hand on top of my left thigh. Think of moving your left thigh forward and away from the left hip. Then bring the head back to center. Engage the abdominals, lift your knees up. Inhale. Exhale, knees fall to the left. Left hand takes the right thigh. Inhale, get longer through the waist. Exhale, turn the gaze over toward the right hand and spread that shoulder down onto the floor. Take a deep cleansing breath here. And then the head comes back up. Float your knees back up. Give yourself a squeeze. And let's rock forward and back a few times. So finding this abdominal awareness, you're gonna rock up and we're gonna find boat pose. As you rock up, you engage the core and the lower back lifts, and you're on the sitting bones and the tailbone, that little triangle, finding your balance here. Hands can come to the backs of your legs. Gaze lifts, spread the toes. So we can be here, we can take hands down for a little more support, we can lift arms up, or you can even straighten your legs here. Ooh, gets a bit quaddy there. Lift the collarbones, spread them, take another full breath here. And then let's bring the soles of the feet together, open the knees up and make your way to your sitting bones. We'll take Baddha Konasana, forward fold. Inhale with a flat back and exhale, hinging forward from the hips. Breathe deeply, opening up the hips and the spine a little bit here. You can rock side to side. Nice full breath. And then let's slowly lift up. Take the shins, cross them, and we'll take a side bend. Left palm down, right arm reaches up and over. Push into the ground, root your sitting bones. Inhale, lift up through center. Let's go to the other side. Right palm down, sits bones rooted, neck is relaxed. Inhale, lifting up, and exhale, let's come forward onto all fours. Moving through some cat-cow stretches. We did this on the first class, so that's a good one to do every day. Let's inhale, let the belly drop, lift the heart and tailbone up, and then exhale, round your spine. Let the head drop, tailbone lengthens to knees. Inhaling, lift the chest, lift the tailbone up, exhale, cat pose, round it out, head drops. This is a good time we synchronize the breath and the movement. So just let the breath kind of lead the way here. Feel that the pelvis is moving, the hips are moving, so that the whole spine is moving. And then you can also think about where the weight is in your hands. We're on our hands a lot in a vinyasa practice. So we want to spread the weight evenly into the pads of the fingers and the ball of the hand, the base of the knuckles. A lot of times we dump the weight in the wrist. So the bottom of the wrist, we want to avoid this. See if you can spread your weight to here and to the pads of the fingers. So even here in down dog, or in your cat-cow, you can think about your weight in your hands. Now just come to a neutral spine and feel what that feels like to push into those areas of the hand. Curl the toes under and hover your knees. Now we're finding an engaged hovering table here. Draw the thumbs together, draw the hands back towards the feet. With the core staying engaged like this, let's step 1 foot back at a time. Here we go, plank pose. Take a deep breath in and out. Good. Now we're gonna come back to the hovering table. Bend one knee at a time. And here we are. Navel lifting, gaze slightly forward, spine long, abdominals drawing in. Feel the TVA, and then step back the opposite foot this time to plank pose. So the shoulders and the hips stay as they are. Take a deep breath in, draw the thumbs together, feel your upper arms hugging into the shoulder sockets, and then up and back we go to downward facing dog. And let's bend the knees for this first few breaths, pushing into the index finger and thumb knuckles mostly. And then you can straighten one leg at a time, pedaling the feet, getting into calves and Achilles. Just move in any way that you like in your downward facing dog. So you can bend and pedal, shake your head no, come onto the balls of the feet and then stretch the heels down. Eventually maybe straightening both legs, or you can keep them bent through the practice. Just depends on how your legs feel, how the hamstrings are. You can go a little wider with the feet if that feels good. Inhale, shift forward into plank pose. This is how you know your distance for down dog. Plank shifts right back into down dog. Do that a few times. Inhale to plank pose, shoulders over the wrists. Exhale, we move the shoulders and hips back, down dog. So the hands and feet stay where they are. Inhale, plank. Exhale, dog. Good. Inhale, plank. Put your knees down onto the floor. Let's do a few chaturanga push-ups. So we did on the last class, we were on the knees for the first couple chaturangas. Let's slowly lower so that my shoulders are not going beyond my elbows. And then push back up. Exhale, slow lower. Inhale, push up. Exhale, slow lower all the way to the ground. Inhale, cobra pose. The hips are down, the spine is lifting up, shoulder heads are back. And then release, forehead down. Inhale, push the arms to straight, curl the toes under, downward facing dog, push back. Take a big breath here. Walk the feet forward to the hands, come into standing forward fold, Uttanasana. So I'll show you from the side, the feet are about hip width apart, spine is long. You can take the hands and lace them behind the head, and just give a little nudge to lengthen the neck, if that feels good, or take hands to opposite elbows and sway from side to side, breathing into the lower back. Fingertips can come to the floor or your blocks or water bottle or books, all those props we talked about. And then let's inhale to a flat back. Bring the hands to the shins if they don't touch the ground. And exhale, fold back in, drop the head. Inhale, lift to a flat back. Exhale, fold in. Bend your knees and slowly round up. Inhale, arms reach overhead. Exhale, hands come into the heart. Now we'll do a few half sun salutations to get that breath and movement synchronized. And if you're not completely with me, that's totally fine. If you're not breathing at the same pace as me, I'm just here to guide you. So breathe how it feels good for you to breathe, okay? I'm just a guide. Inhale, arms reach up, stand tall. Exhale, fold in half, drop the head. Inhale to a flat back, hands to shins, create space. Exhale, fold and empty. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, hands pull back into the heart. Let's do that again. Inhale, stretch the breath. Fill up the lungs. Exhale, empty the lungs, drop the head and fold. Inhale, flat back, lengthen from armpit to hip crease. Exhale, fold, drop the head, relax the spine, stretch the legs. Inhale, we come back up to standing. Engaging the core. Exhale, hands pull into the heart. Good. Come in a chair pose, bend your knees, sink your hips, arms reach up. Weight in the heels. So if you look down, you can see your toes. Actually lift the toes up off the floor. And then we're gonna now put the toes down and lift the heels up off the floor. Find a spot to focus on, and can you come up to standing, staying on the tippy toes, find your balance. Inhale here. Exhale, rebend the knees. Put the heels back down, and then take your arms back and squeeze the triceps. So we'll call this airplane arms. Find a focal point, and then let's arms up. Come to the balls of the feet, lift your heels, straighten the legs, inhale. Exhale, rebend the knees, put your heels down, fly the arms back, squeeze the triceps, engage the core. Inhale, straight legs, heels lift, find your balance. Exhale, rebend the knees, heels down, arms fly back. Inhale, arms reach, lift your heels, straighten the legs. Exhale, set it all down. Bend the knees, set the heels down, fly the arms. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale to a flat back. We'll take it into sun salutation A. Step back to plank. So the first class we did a lot of chaturanga on the knees. So continue to do that if you're still building strength and getting used to this pose. Otherwise, we inhale, prepare. We'll do the full chaturanga with legs straight. Slowly lower halfway, and then all the way down. Inhale, cobra. So the pelvis is planted in cobra. Exhale, release. Push your arms to straight, downward facing dog, hips up and back. Take a big full breath. Inhale, look at your hands. Exhale, step or bend your knees and hop lightly to your hands. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Drop the head. Inhale, rise all the way up to stand. Arms sweep. Exhale, hands pull into the heart. Let's do another one like that. Inhale, arms reach. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Back to plank pose we go. Thumbs draw together. Inhale, shift forward on your toes. Exhale, chaturanga, maybe upward facing dog. Come to the tops of the feet. Push the arms straight so the hips are lifted, different than cobra. And exhale, curl the toes under through a push-up to downward facing dog. So what we want to do is just what feels good in our bodies. So if upward facing dog's a little too crunchy or compressing for the spine, then stay with your cobra. Take a deep breath in, look forward, bend your knees, step or hop to your thumbs. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach all the way up. Exhale, pull the hands into the heart. Good. Let's find that chair pose again. Bend your knees, sink your hips, arms reach up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift halfway. Plant your palms, step back. Prepare, thumbs draw forward, shift on the toes. Chaturanga, we lower. Now choose your favorite back bend, cobra or upward facing dog. Inhale, lift the spine. Exhale, make your way back, down dog. Right leg reaches up into the air, three-legged dog. Stretch your left heel down toward the floor. Try to keep your hip bones in line so we're not opening and hiking that right hip up. Push the weight into the index finger and thumb knuckles. Inhale here. Exhale, shift forward into plank and draw the knee to the nose. Two more like that. Inhale, take the leg high. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, leg high. Exhale, knee to nose. This time, step the foot in between your hands. Good. Stand the ball of the back foot so we're in a crescent or a low lunge. We'll take it up into crescent. So first, just stretching out the left hip flexors. We want to stack the knee over the heel, and we're on the fingertips. And if the ground feels far away, you can grab whatever prop you're working with today to lift the ground up. From here, let's pull the feet together. Make sure they're on train tracks instead of a tightrope, so they're hip width apart, not too narrow. That'll help with your balance. Lift your focal point up, use the core, and then sweep your arms up overhead. Draw the feet together. The tailbone is lengthening down. The front of the hip bones are lifting up. Okay, so your pelvis is neutral. Pulling, hugging the thighs together, pulling the feet together. Nice deep breath in. Exhale, let's windmill the arms or sweep the arms down to the airplane and hover the torso over the front thigh. Inhale, lift the arms back up, lift the torso up. Exhale, let's waterfall down. Squeeze the arms. Inhale, reach up. Continuing to hug the thighs together. Exhale, waterfall down, finding your balance. Put the hands down on either side of that front foot. Step back to downward facing dog. Take the left leg up into the air for a three-legged dog. Stretch the right heel down towards the floor. Lift the left leg up just a tiny bit higher without opening your hip. Draw the low belly in. Deep breath in here, and as you exhale, knee to nose, shift forward into plank. Inhale, leg flies high. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, leg up. Exhale, knee to nose. Step the foot to the left thumb. Stay on your fingertips here, lunge on fingertips, and then we'll come up. Just balancing out the body. So we talked about the hip flexors, the front of the hip. Those muscles need a little attention if we've been sitting for a lot of the day. So lengthening and opening, stretching in this position. Now let's find some strength in the outer hip. Pull the feet together, lift your focal point, and then arms reach up, finding your balance. Crescent pose. If you need to, you can bend the back knee a little bit if the front of the hip is really tight, so feel free to do that. As you're ready, you can straighten that leg out, but do what's right for you today, and that's a little different every time we practice yoga. We'll inhale here. Exhale, cartwheel the arms down. Squeeze your triceps. Inhale, lift the arms up and the torso up. Exhale, waterfall down. Inhale, reach. Exhale, waterfall. Good. Plant your palms, step back to plank and pause. We'll move into a side plank here on the right side. So the right hand comes to the middle of the mat. We roll to the outer edge of the right foot. We draw the right shoulder blade down the back, and then maybe take the left hand to the hip or all the way up. You can always drop the right knee down. So whatever you're doing though, you want to look down and make sure your right wrist crease and fingertips face the front of the mat. So what happens is sometimes we turn the hand, and that's probably not going to be good for the shoulder and the wrist. So you can be in any of your variations of side plank. Just make sure the shoulder is engaged, wrist feels safe. Abdominals draw in. You can even take the top leg up if you'd like. Again, right knee can be down. Take another full breath here, smiling, and then look down. Plank pose. We'll go to the other side. Left hand to the center of the mat, roll to outer edge of left foot, draw left shoulder down the back. Right hand can come to the hip or all the way up. You can also stagger the feet. Left knee can come down, or you can do some fun little different things with the top leg. Make sure the wrist is safe, lined up with the top of the mat. Abdominals draw in. And even if you're not using a mat, we just want to make sure that the fingers don't turn and throw us off of alignment. Let's take another full breath here. Find the ease, even when we're using a whole lot of effort to be here. Look down, plank pose, inhale. Downward facing dog, exhale. Let's take a child's pose for just a few breaths. Bring the big toes together and knees wide. So the knees are plenty wide so that the forehead can come down. You can stretch your fingertips up to the front of the mat to get a side body stretch. Or you can play with pushing into the heels of the hands to slide the tailbone back toward the knees, or the tailbone back toward the heels, and to lengthen out the lower back. So whatever you like to do, you can also completely disengage and rest here. Notice where the breath goes in your child's pose. So see if you can fill up the backs of your lungs. One more breath here. And then as you're ready, we'll inhale back up onto hands and knees. Exhale, move the knees into the midline and take it back to downward facing dog. Take the right leg up into the air, three-legged dog. Inhale. This time we'll open up the hip and we'll take just an open variation of a three-legged dog. So the right hip goes on top of the left. Knee is bent. You can circle the ankle. Try to keep your shoulders level and stretch the left heel down toward the floor. Take the leg straight back behind you. Knee to nose as you step the foot to the right thumb. Let's come back up to crescent pose. Lift the focal point, arms reach up. Good. So we've been here before. Let's pull the feet together. Keep the spine really long and vertical. Take the arms forward. We're going to twist here. The right arm is going to come swoop down and back toward the back of your space with the thumbs facing up. Open and spread the chest, the collarbones wide. Hug the right hip into the midline. Look forward. We're going to come to warrior two. So we're going to switch spots with the arms and spin the back heel down. So check out your alignment. You can see the right big toe from the inner right knee. And we've been in this pose before, so a pretty common yoga pose. So most of my practices, I pass through warrior two a couple times. So we want to make sure it feels good in our bodies. The front heel matches up with the arch of the back foot, a nice bend in the front knee, but we don't want the knee going too far forward of the ankle. So kind of marking your alignment here. Arms spread wide. Breathing deeply. Good. Spin the palm up, reach back, peaceful warrior. And then let's move up and over to side angle pose. Right forearm to thigh, left arm sweeps up on the diagonal. Again, just passing through some familiar poses, and we'll add on a little bit. Big full breath. Inhale, straighten the leg. Let's heel to the back foot in just a little bit here. Left hand can come to the hip for triangle pose. We're going to reach the spine long, reaching out and over that front leg, and then the right hand comes down. Left arm reaches up to the sky. This is Utthita Trikonasana. Some nice full breaths here. Shoulders are down the back. We want to push into the ball of the front foot so that we unlock behind the knee. So while it seems like the right shin is going to move forward, the right thigh bone plugs back into the hip socket. One leg moving in two directions you can think of. From here, we're going to move into half moon pose. Bring the left hand to the hip, look down. You're going to start to bend the right leg and bring the right fingertips forward, kind of diagonal of the right pinky toe. Start to bear weight on that right leg and lift the left leg up. The left foot is flexed, maybe taking the left arm to the sky. It helps if you look down for balance. And just like in the side plank, when I wanted you to pay attention to the hand turning and staying forward, same thing here with the toes and the ankle and the knee. We want them to face forward as well. Another full breath. Expand, spread the fingers and toes. And then slowly rebend the front knee. Pass back into your warrior two. Inhale, reverse again. Reverse your warrior. Exhale, hands frame the front foot. Come to the ball of the back foot and step back to plank pose. You can move through a traditional chaturanga, or you can lift the right leg up into the air and try out a one-legged chaturanga. Lowering, and then both feet down. Inhale for cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, peel it back, downward facing dog. Take a nice deep breath. Left leg floats up. Bend the knee, roll the hip open, stacking the left hip on top of the right. Push into the hands. Roll the ankle. Take the leg straight back behind you, square off your hip, and then bring the knee to the nose as you step the left foot to the left thumb. Find your foot alignment, draw the feet together, lift your gaze, and lift the arms and the torso up for crescent pose. Feel the tailbone dropping, the crown of the head lifting, low belly rising up, drawing in, and then we'll twist here. Bring the arms forward as you breathe in. Swim the left arm down and toward the back of your mat, wringing out through the abdominal organs, wringing out through the ribs. Notice how your focal point changes. So you're looking at something new now. And then we'll take the focus back forward as we come into warrior two. Spin your back heel down, left hand comes forward, right hand back. Adjust your alignment if needed. So again, see the left big toe from the inside of the knee. The knee is not going too far forward, it's just right over the heel. The tailbone drops. If you tend to stick the booty out a little bit, draw the top of the flesh of the bottom down and the front ribs draw in, taking up a lot of space on your mat. Reverse your left palm to the sky. Send it back, peaceful warrior, staying low in your legs. Coming into side angle, lifting the torso up. Left forearm to the thigh, right arm reaches on the diagonal. Again, we don't want to stick the hips out, so hug the left hip in, like you can roll the sits bone down toward the floor. The bottom ribs roll toward the ceiling. And then slowly come up, straightening out the leg, right hand to the right hip, heel toe the back foot in just a little bit for triangle pose. So we move the spine forward, and the left hand can lightly land. Right arm reaches up. Take the shoulders down the back, free up the neck. There's a slight tuck of the chin to lengthen the back of the neck. As you push into the ball of the front foot, you soften behind the knee. Shin moves forward in space energetically. Thigh bone moves back into the hip socket. Ribs and navel draw in. Moving into half moon, right hand to the hip. Look down for your balance. Make sure the toes face forward. Left fingertips come diagonal of the pinky toe. Start to take weight onto that left leg, stabilizing the left hip as the right leg reaches up parallel to the floor. Foot is flexed, toes spread. Again, ribs and navel in. So the core supports us so much in so many poses. The right arm can come up. Notice if you're looking down, it's a little more stable. As you start to take your focal point higher, you might fall and wobble. That's all part of the pose. So doing it a little bit differently every time we come into it makes it interesting. Let's return that back leg to the floor. Put a bend in the front knee, warrior two. Inhale, reverse your warrior. Exhale, cartwheel the hands to frame the front foot. Step back to plank pose. If you did the lifted chaturanga here, let's hover the left foot up. Inhale, shift forward on the hands and the toes. Exhale, chaturanga. Put your foot down. Inhale, cobra or up dog. And back to down dog we go. Exhale. Take a big full breath in. Long breath out. Good. Look at your hands. Inhale. Come to the balls of the feet. Put a little bend in your knees. Exhale. Hop forward. Inhale. Flat back. Exhale. Fold. Inhale. Rise all the way up. Exhale. Hands pull into the heart. Good. Take a nice deep breath here. Feel the heart beating. Feel the energy circulating in your body. Feel the aliveness of this practice. Good, and let's take a wide step on the mat or your space, whatever you're practicing on today. So the feet can face the same direction, kneecaps face the same direction. We're gonna come into our fold. Bring the hands to the hips. We're gonna send the tailbone down, send the crown up, find a flat back, inhale here, and then exhale, we spill forward from the hips, bring the hands down. Take an inhale, find a flat back. Exhale a little bit deeper, Prasarita Padottanasana A. So your hands can walk toward your feet. They can even go beyond the feet, or peace fingers can hook onto the big toes, and you can take the elbows wide as you come into the fold. Maybe if it's tough to get your hands down onto the floor, that's when you can put your hands on your water bottle or your block or whatever you're working with, even a book. Or you could even stay up in the flat back if this is enough of a stretch for your legs. So a lot of ways that we can be here, just let it feel good for you. Good. And then let's slowly climb back up to a flat back. And then we're gonna pivot the right toes and kneecap forward and bend the knee deeply. Come to the heel of the left foot. This is Skandasana, skater pose. So my hands are down. Again, you could be working with something to bring the ground up a little bit, or if you're pretty open and you want to stabilize, you can even lift your arms up. We're going to do this toward the back of the mat. Skandasana, over to the back of the mat. Bend the left knee, so the kneecap and toes face the same direction. We come onto the right heel, and we're light in the fingertips, or we're lifting the arms up, or we're using something to put the hands on. Let's do that one more time, both sides. Climb over to the right, drop the hips, lift the heart, back over to the left. Nice, opening into the hips. Let's come back to center. Spin your heels in and your toes out, and then sink your hips down for a goddess or a horseman's pose. Climb up the thighs. And you can move this a little bit here, side to side. Just opening into the hips and the inner thighs. Turn to face you guys. Okay, so then let's bring the spine up a little bit more. Tailbone down. And then let's see if we can take the arms up and spin the palms up and down a few times. You can continue to move this a little bit. Good, lifting and lowering the hips. Are you breathing deeply and smiling? So we always try to find a little bit of ease in the effort, in the middle of all of that effort. Right forearm to right thigh, left arm stretches up and over. Switch sides, left forearm, left thigh, right arm up and over. Come on back up, and then as you breathe in, straighten the legs and lift your arms up. As you breathe out, bring the hands to the heart, come back into your squat. Inhale, circle the arms up, straighten the legs, and let's go slowly. Exhale, sinking back down into it. Try to press your thighs back. Inhale, arms reach up slowly. Exhale, rebending your knees. Good. 2 more. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, slowly lower. Inhale, feel your quads, your glutes, your thighs toning. Good. Hold here. Try to lift your right heel up. Set it down. Try the left heel. Set it down, and maybe both heels up. Woo. Good. Nice. Set that down. Inhale. Arms reach up, hands to the hips, parallel the feet. And let's go ahead and wiggle the hips a few times. Let's just roll the hips out. Go the other way. Nice. Okay, and then step your feet together. Okay, so just a few balancing poses on one leg. We'll start with dancer. We're gonna be on the right leg first. I'm gonna show you from this side. Right hand is on the right hip. The left hand comes out because you're gonna catch your left foot. Bend the left knee and see if you can grab onto that foot. If balance is tricky for you, you could practice at a wall. So I have a wall here. As I approach the pose, the wall is there if I need it. So you can scoot off your space and get to a wall space if you'd like. So you have the left foot, right hand to the hip, right arm reaches up. First, feel a nice quad stretch. You wanna try to keep the knee in line with the hip as opposed to splaying out. And then slowly from the hip crease, we hinge forward and kick the left shin back. And this is Natarajasana dancer pose. It helps to find that focal point. You can go as far forward as you'd like, lifting the leg back, spread the toes. Find your breath and smile. And then let's slowly come on out of it. Lifting up, releasing that foot, and shaking out the standing leg, rolling that ankle. Find a breath in your mountain pose in between. Remember that great posture that we talked about. So you want to kind of feel this between each of the sides. This is a foundation for all of the balancing postures. Left hand to left hip, we're going to stand on the left leg now. Bend the right knee, take the right hand to the foot. Dancer pose. Left arm reaches up, spread your toes. This might be a good place to be. Just feel the quads opening. Maybe we hinge forward from the hip crease and kick the shin back. Spreading the fingers and toes, breathing deeply. Nice. One side might feel totally different than the other. If you fall, come back in. Take your time. Let's take one more breath in the pose. And then slowly start to lift up. Release your foot, come back to mountain. Feel free to wiggle a little bit, roll out your ankle. Nice. Here we are, mountain pose. We're gonna stand on the right foot again for a warrior 3. I'll show you from the side. We're gonna stand on the right, hands to the hips. Let's bend the left knee. And then first, just for fun, straighten that leg and feel the quads work. Feel the hip flexors work to lift that leg up. You can take your arms up if you'd like, or they can be at the heart. From here, we're gonna swim that leg back or swing that leg back and hinge forward from the hips for warrior 3. Now here is different than Ardha Chandrasana or half moon, where the hip was open and the hand was down. Now both hip points are in line. And your arms can be forward, which is the most challenging. They can come to the heart, or they can go back like airplane wings. Back or out. Full breath in, long breath out. Little micro bend in the standing leg, standing knee. Lift your focal point up, bring the hands to the heart, bend the left knee into the chest, and then set it down. Let's do that on the other side. Hands to the hips, right knee bends. Straighten the leg, fire up the quads, fire up the hip flexors. Lift that leg as high as you can. Take the arms up where they can be at the heart, spread your toes, and then we're gonna swing that leg slowly back into Warrior 3, Virabhadrasana 3. Testing your balance, core strength, and the back are really working, the abdominals and the spinal muscles. Hands, any variation, hips level. Point or flex the floating foot. Find your focal point, slightly forward, forward and down. Take a nice deep breath here, feeling your strength. If you're wobbling, totally fine. You can always put your hands down. And then let's slowly lift it back up, re-bend that right knee, and then set it down. Good. Whew. Shake all of that out. Again, you can roll the hips. Feels good to do after those big standing strengthener poses. We'll take it back down to the mat now. Mountain pose, inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift and lengthen your spine. Step back to plank pose. Deep breath in, preparing for chaturanga. Exhale, we lower. Inhale for your back bend, cobra or up dog. Exhale, peel it back, downward facing dog. Full breath in, long breath out. From downward facing dog, we're gonna bend our elbows. See if you can do this simultaneously, lowering both elbows down to the floor. This is dolphin pose. We're gonna plug the shoulders back away from the ears. See if you can walk your feet in just a tiny bit. So this is elbow dog or dolphin. Down dog on your elbows, on your forearms. Pushing your forearms and your palms down into the floor. Maybe holding this for another 3 breaths. Maybe we drop to the knees. Maybe we lift right leg up. Right foot down. Left leg up. Left foot down. And child's pose. Both knees down, big toes touch. Hips sink back to the heels and we rest for a couple of breaths. We're gonna do the dolphin pose again and add a few push-ups. So dolphin to down dog push-ups to strengthen the triceps. If you would rather do a stretch instead of the strengthening, I'll instruct puppy pose. So you'll bring your hips up over your knees like a tabletop and then walk your hands forward on the diagonal, arms straight and the forehead comes down. So it's different than child's pose because the hips are up. This is going to stretch and elongate the spine and draw the front ribs in. So you can be here for the whole time that we're doing these push-ups or rest in child's pose. If you're with me on the push-ups, start in your dolphin setup. So we've got shoulder over elbow, curl the toes under, plug the shoulders back away from the ears, curl the toes under, straighten your legs, push into your hands. Where we talked about putting the weight, push into the hands and the pads of the fingers. Inhale here. Exhale, can you simultaneously straighten your arms? Down dog. Slowly bend and put your forearms down. Exhale, straighten the arms. Down dog. Inhale, bend, hug the elbows in, plug the shoulders down the back. Exhale, straighten the arms. Let's do one more. Slowly bend, hugging navel to spine. Exhale, push into the palms, down dog. Inhale, shift forward to plank. Exhale, chaturanga. We'll meet everyone in child's pose. Inhale, lift the heart. Exhale, make your way back. Good. And then drop down and rest. Turn the palms up and let the shoulders drop. Good. Take a few breaths to rest. Get a drink of water, whatever you like to do. Nice. Good. We're going to get into some hips and release a little bit more. So let's come on up onto the knees. And we'll just release the triceps really quick. So right arm is gonna reach up, bend the elbow, and stretch the triceps back. Grab onto your elbow with your opposite palm. Release that work. Good, straighten both arms, bend left elbow, take the right hand to the elbow, and release and breathe. Nice. And if it's not comfortable sitting down on your heels like this, you can be up on your knees. Good, release that. Come onto the hands and knees, step the right foot forward. So we're coming back into a lunge, but we'll keep it low this time. So let's drop the hips toward the floor. And you can stay here, opening up the hip flexors. We did some stuff to strengthen. You can climb up the thigh, or you can sweep arms up, Anjaneyasana. So we were here yesterday or the other day when we did lesson 1 together. If you want to add on, grab onto the left wrist, pull the thighs together and arc over to the right. Now this is going to go down into the iliopsoas muscle, a deep core stabilizer. Good. And then lift up, hands come down. We're going to walk the right foot toward the left edge of the mat or left wrist and let the right knee drop down. This is our figure 4 stretch or pigeon stretch. So we're settling into a different version that we started with. If your right hip is really high, slide a block or a blanket underneath. So I'll show you what I mean. If your hip is up really far from the floor, grab a blanket, a pillow, anything you have at home, slide it under the hip so that your hip can settle down and be kind of in line with the other hip, with the left hip. The right foot is flexed. You're trying to get your shin forward as much as you can, but it's important that the right knee is to the right of the right hip. Once you find your alignment, you can come on down onto the forearms if you'd like. Take your forehead to 2 fists if you'd like. This is pigeon pose. Now, if you're in this and it's excruciating and just does not feel good, your body's tight, or the knee doesn't feel good, or the hip doesn't feel good, then we'll take our figure 4 stretch. You'll just lie on your back and take the right ankle to the left thigh. Lace your hands at the back of the left leg. This gets the same area. So we're working IT band, glutes, and outer hip. Just a few more breaths here. And if you're new to yoga, everybody has such strong opinions about this pose, so it's kind of funny. Just notice where you are right now. Notice how you feel in this pose. Is it something that you can't wait to get out of? Is it something that you're welcoming and that feels really good and you're able to let yourself release? And just notice how that evolves, and you eventually kind of let go of opinions and attachments to things and just kind of be open to the moment and open to the pose and your experience of the pose as it is today, because it always changes. That's what's great about the practice. Push up onto the hands. If you're on your back, roll up and meet us back in downward facing dog. Now between sides, I kind of like to come to my hips and roll my right hip, or come to my knees and roll my right hip out. Maybe go to down dog and take some hip circles, or pedal your feet, pedal your knees. We'll make our way to our second side lunge. The left foot is going to step forward, right knee comes down. Lunge, low lunge, many things we can do here. You can stay low with the hands and use your block. You can climb up onto the thigh. Pull the feet together, lift the arms up if you want to keep going. And then our last thing we did, we grab it onto the right wrist and arc over to the left. It'll give you a huge stretch, really, really deep core stabilizer muscles, the iliopsoas. So that muscle contracts involuntarily when we're stressed. So it's part of our fight or flight response. So anytime we can release this muscle, gotta do it. And then let's come on out. Release up, hands to the floor, make your way to pigeon. So let's slide the left foot toward the right wrist, set your left knee down toward the left wrist. If you feel like the hip is high, slide a pillow, blanket, towel underneath it and slide your right foot back a little bit more if you can. So you can anchor down with level hips, flexing the left foot. If you want to roll onto your back for thread the needle, great. Just trying to get into the hips here. Slowly melt down onto the forearms, maybe forehead to your fists. You've got a block at home, forehead to the block.
So when we put our forehead down on the surface, we are starting to stimulate the relaxation response in the body. So we're cooling down a little bit here, resting and releasing. With every exhale, kind of visualize releasing and letting go of tension, toxicity in the body and the hips in particular. Deep breath in, filling up that space. Long breath out to release and let go and let the tissues soften. So we're teaching the tissues to soften and release here. Let's take another full breath together. Good, and then we'll slowly make our way back up. And if you're on your back, roll up and meet us in a dog. Maybe we pass through table first and take some hip circles, moving the thigh bone around in the hip socket. Maybe we do that in dog. Good, maybe again, bending your knees one at a time. And then inhale back to plank pose. And then let's slow this chaturanga down. Come all the way to your belly. So we're gonna lower to a 4 count. Inhale, big breath. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1, all the way down. Lace your hands behind you. We'll stretch out the front of the shoulders and our back bend here. Push your toes down into the floor. Push your pubic bone down. Lift your navel. Inhale for Shalabhasana, locust pose. And then if you want, you can add your legs, lifting the inner thighs up, spreading the toes. Remember we talked about how the back bends are so important for us because they counter what we do, what gravity does for our bodies and our spine, pulling us down all the time. This is strengthening those muscles and opening and releasing the energy along the spine, elevating our mood, making us happier. Inhale and more energetic. Exhale, come on down. Turn your cheek one way and rest. Now we did dancer pose and got into the quads a little bit, so we're gonna try this back bend variation. Let's bend the knees and see if you can reach for your feet. And if you can't, and that doesn't feel good, then go back to locust pose. Lace your thumb, the opposite thumb on top, lace your fingers. Bring your thighs together from this position. We're gonna inhale and exhale, push your shin bones back and lift your chest, lift your shoulders up. Spread your toes. This is Dhanurasana bow pose. And just let the breath rock you on your belly a little bit here. Feel how this opens up shoulders, quads, hip flexors, abdominals, spine, throat. And then let's slowly let it go. Turn the cheek the other way. And you can windshield wiper your legs a little bit here. Let the legs set down. And then you can kind of move your hips from side to side too to release your hips. Let's put the hands in line at the top of the mat. Curl the toes under. We're going to push back up to plank. Deep breath in. Exhale, push the ground away. Downward facing dog. Good. Look forward at your thumbs. We're going to come to a seat, so feel free to bend your knees and hop through, or just put your knees down and slide your legs forward. Good. Okay, let's take the legs wide. So wide legs take up a lot of space. Flex your feet. Sit on the top of the sitting bones. So if you feel, I always like to say this, if you feel like your hips are rolling back like this and your feet are going back, I would recommend sitting on a blanket so that you can start from your pelvis being in a neutral position for your forward fold, and then feel like the pelvis is spilling forward. Think of the pelvis as a bowl of water. If it's spilling back, then there's not much room for you to go into a forward fold, right? So you want to sit up on a blanket, fold it on a blanket, sit at the edge of that blanket so that the bowl of water spills forward into the forward bend. That gives the spine a lot more space to lengthen and come forward. You can also think about it from a spinal perspective. You don't want to round your back to touch forward, to go forward. You want to keep your spine long, like the tips of the shoulder blades are moving to the back of the heart. Think about being in a back bend in your forward bend. Full breath. This is going to save the lower back and save the muscles from straining and pulling. if we're going into it right with good alignment. Let's come on up, hands to the knees, bring the legs together. Let's try that one more time in a different pose. This is Paschimottanasana. Move the flesh out from underneath your sitting bones. First, just find staff pose, Dandasana. We're sitting up tall, right? We're using our core, our back and our front core to sit up straight, shoulders back. This is hard. Quads are engaged here. Dig your heels down into the floor. This is the position that we approach the forward folds in. If you're gonna try to touch your toes with your pelvis sinking back and your back rounded, you're not gonna go very far without hurting your lower back over time. So, like I said, sit on a blanket. Get your hips up a little bit, let your thigh bones drop down, and then just start to slowly walk the hands forward. They can come onto the shins. Inhale, lift the chest again, and then continue to melt. You can grab onto the outer edges of your feet, or if you're tight hamstrings and you have a strap at home or a belt or a scarf, loop that on the feet and kind of pull the strap, pull yourself into it. You don't have to touch your toes. This is just getting our flexibility from a safer place. So working that flexibility from safe alignment. We don't want to pull the back. We are getting a nice stretch for the back, but just let it be slow and steady. Every breath, every exhale gets you a little bit farther into the fold. Shoulders stay down the back, neck stays long. Inhale. Exhale, heart moves forward toward the feet. Quads stay engaged. Slowly lift your spine up. Keep digging your heels into the floor. Take your hands behind you with the fingertips facing the hips. Dig the heels into the floor. Lift the chest, open up the chest, and then lift your hips up. This is upward plank or upward. You could also do an upward table, bending the knees. But if you can keep the legs straight, great. Open the throat, take a deep breath. Slowly, hips come back down. Dig heels into the floor. Start to lower down one vertebra at a time. Tailbone lengthens to the heels. Let's find one last bit of core. The nose and the toes are in line, half boat. Look up at the ceiling. 3, 2, 1. Hug the knees into the chest. Rock side to side. We'll close with one final spinal twist. We'll take a little different one today. Right knee on top of left. Right knee on top of left. Put your left foot down. Send your hips to the right. Arms to a T and the knees to the left. Gaze towards the right. Left hand can come on top of right thigh. This is the eagle twist. Bring the head to center. Use those abdominals to lift your knees back up. Switch the cross. Put the right foot down. Send your hips to the left. Inhale here. Exhale, knees to the left, to fall to the right, and your gaze falls to the left. So we're neutralizing the spine after the back bends and the forward bends. Releasing tension. Head comes to center. Use the core. Bring the knees back up. Give yourself one final squeeze. Let's just take a minute Shavasana, just a brief relaxation. Extend the legs. And if you have more time to rest, please do, so that you can absorb and assimilate the benefits of this practice. It's why we come into Shavasana. Let the eyes close. Let the body be still and the breath be relaxed. The mind is quiet. Find a restfulness and ease here. Softening all the muscles in the face. Softening the skin of the forehead between the brows. Softening any expression. Letting the eyes get heavy in their sockets. Letting the tongue fall away from the roof of the mouth. The lips are sealed, but there's some separation between the top and bottom teeth. Jaws relaxed. You can even swallow and relax the throat. Feel the body softening into the earth. The bones become heavy. Muscles relax.
Every moment you're here, you're able to let go a little bit more. And like I said, if you have more time, I would recommend staying in relaxation. And if it's time to get going, begin to deepen your breath again. As if you could breathe in through your skin, feel the breath enlivening you, invigorating your systems, a sense of renewal. Start to move the fingers and toes and roll the wrists and the ankles. And let's reach the arms up and overhead. Lengthen the legs, spread the toes. And then roll over to your right side and just use your upper right arm as a pillow for a moment. This is that space where we leave our yoga practice and we can live some of this yoga so we can be more mindful, more present, more aware of our body, how we hold ourselves, how we're breathing, how our energy is, the energy that we are holding and transmitting to others. So living that, letting go of what you don't need right here. And then push into your palms. Make your way up to a seat. Mindful seat. Bring the hands together at the heart. Appreciating yourself for doing this. So good for us. And I wish that I found yoga earlier. I found it in college, but it's really just such a tool that's helped me in so many ways in my life. I'm so thankful for it. And thank you guys for trying this with me. If you're new, keep practicing. It becomes more accessible, more comfortable, more steady, easeful as you go. Thank you so much. Namaste. If you'd like to leave a comment or if you have a question or a request, please do so. I'd love to hear from you guys. Thank you.